Hey everybody, another edition of Bird Brain 66 here with my good buddy Brian Bretsch on the left or right this time, not on the bottom or the top like the last time. What's up, Brian?
It is all good, Andy. How are you?
Doing great because today we are looking at the All-Star inserts from the 80s. So kind of looking at going to focus on a couple of years, but we can look at all was it 5 years, 81 through 86. They were part of the All-Star voting back in the day when you could go in this when you went to the game and open up this little booklet and you mark them off and drop it in a ballot, drop the ballot off in a box, and mysteriously, your players would show up on the All-Star team. At least that's what we hoped actually happened, but who knows if that really happened or not. But that's
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I don't have one. I have some handy or in my collection. I just didn't get it, but they would almost look like an envelope like this, and you would have your National League players and you'd have your American League players, and you'd pop them out, and yeah, miraculously, you'd see your folks who you selected or not selected, and you get pissed off at who was representing the Cardinals versus the Cubs versus the American League, blah blah blah. And then a lot of times you just went with the old this week in baseball to pick your favorite American League players because you at the time there was no interleague play, so you didn't get to see everybody, so you just went with them. But we're going to showcase the 1982 and the 1983 teams. But Andy, you mentioned before we started recording, this series runs from what again, 81 to what?
81 to
86?
86, but in one of these databases that you and I use, 86 is not reflected in there. I'm not sure why, but we'll get into that at another time. But before we start on 82 and 83, I want to go ahead and feature 1981 just to go ahead and show everybody what that looked like. And the thing that I liked about these are, I'm sorry, there may be a little bit of glare, but is that as you see, Templeton is still on the team in 1981.
Good.
But you see Loscano on there, so you're seeing the transition because there's Daryl Porter. So you're seeing the transition of time with the Cardinals as the trades are being made. So this is about the middle of the season when you're seeing this, these things come out in the programs. So there's your team as of 1981, and as we go into the other years, you'll see that it's transitioning through the various trades that are made during the off season, which is really cool because, and I think I don't know if you pulled yours or not, but I did not. Let me go ahead and show the 81s real quick. They're all pretty similar. We got a little storyline on the back of these things about each of the players and some of the stats. So you can take a look at those.
And I like how you have yours. Yours are a little bit different than mine. I'm having mine in the full, or storing mine in the full sheets. I'm going to switch to your idea of putting them in the smaller ones, almost like the ones that I have my tobacco cards in. Good idea. Good call on that. I like that idea.
So I'm gonna go ahead and we can go ahead and start on 82. Take a look at 82 real quick. So I'll flash mine up there, and if you go show the ones that you have in there, but obviously there's your 82 World Series championship team right there. And the cool thing is, as you see, Mr. Ozzie Smith down there at the bottom. So I think of the 82 cards or slash whatever you want to call them, outside of this, the OPG card and the Topps traded card and the team photo, those are the only four places that I know Ozzie is featured in the
As a Cardinal
as a Cardinal in 1982. So
and not as a Padre. Yeah.
correct, yeah. So that would be the only time that you see the Wizard. One of the four times that you see the Wizard featured in 1982.
As a member of the Cardinals. Yeah,
Yep.
I like the set. I wish they would have I don't understand why they didn't continue doing this. I mean,
Well,
what
they
a
did. Well,
great
they
idea.
did. They did a little bit in the early '90s, but it wasn't. They didn't do like the very. I mean, the various teams like they did here. They did. They kind of picked and choose who they had there, and obviously Ozzy is in some of those. But today we're featuring the one from the '80s, so Ozzy does make appearance in some of the ones from the early '90s. But again, not in the whole team format, unfortunately.
Right. So yeah, the ones that we're talking about from the early 80's, there was like 180 of these little inserts overall. And then as they got into the late 80's, early 90's, they just featured the actual all-star players themselves. Is that correct?
I believe that's pretty much accurate. That's how that kind of went down. But again, what I kind of liked about it is like it featured the team as of the that particular season. So
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, there you will see, and you're like me, so I'm having a hard time. I don't want to pull them out because these things are very, very thin.
yeah,
But
it's very delicate. But as you see, again in '83, something very unique. You see Willie McGee. So
right.
basically, Willie McGee rookie. So outside of this, his tops card and tops Fleer Donruss and the team card again, like four times you'll see Willie featured in 1983. So another way to get a great rookie card on Willie McGee.
Yeah, and I find it interesting too. So I'm looking at hold that up for just a second. So I'm noticing that Tommy Herr, Bruce Sutter, Ozzie Smith, and who was the other guy? Can't remember. Are the same cards from 1982. But what I
Yep.
like, and again, as I'm trying to showcase this without pulling these out. So here's Keith Hernandez in '82.
I'll keep this up for you.
Yeah, and then we go to where's Keith in 1983. I'm trying to find him here. Anyway, he's completely, is he different? I don't know. I'm getting them all.
I have 83 right here up on front of me. He's up there on.
Yeah, so he's got the bat on his shoulder um
On it.
in '83, and then in '82 he's just got what is the '82? He's just it's a just a pose. So anyway, I like that. But again, Suter, Smith, um are the same and Tommy Herr as in '82. But overall, again, I love this set. I like it that it's just their first initial and their last name. But I wanted to go back to the '82 set for a second. I got to make sure I'm grabbing them because some of them look the
Yeah.
same. What I like about them too is that see the All-Star logo on the back. So in 1982, that was the first time that the All-Star game was held outside of the United States
Oh,
in
good point.
Montreal, Quebec. Yeah, the All-Star game. So Expos hosted it the only time that the Expos hosted it because what is it 2006 they leave Montreal and they move the franchise to the DC area and become the Nationals. But so 82 it's the Expos. National League wins 4-1 on a two-run home run by Dave Concepcion, gives them the lead. They score a couple extra runs and then they flip-flop. Whitey Herzog is the manager in 1983 for the National League, and the National League loses 13-3, and Fred Lynn hits the only grand slam in All-Star history.
Yeah, I think, and you point out, and if you look, the interesting thing about the 82s, if you look on the back of these, they indicate some kind of hometown for these players, which is not actually their hometowns of the players. So
Right.
is it
And the bios are
that,
in English and in French.
yeah, they
I
kind of
love
went away,
that.
and there's the 81, so they went away from the whole little storyline on the back of the cards as well.
And I mean, I'm trying to remember. I've had bits and pieces of mine. I know that you have all of them from 81 through 85, 86. I'm trying to remember if I do or if I don't. But in your, I mean, going back to when you were trying to collect all of these, easy for people to collect, Andy, or I mean, I obviously got to do a little bit of digging to find them, but
Now probably a little
what
bit.
was your experience in trying to finish the team set?
I can say now probably a little bit more difficult for people to track these things down. But back in the day when you went to the stadium, you were able to get the booklet, when you're at the stadium. So at least if you attended a game during the season, you were able to grab the booklet that had these particular things in here. So I was going to go ahead and then show, let's see here, 1984, real quick. make sure I get the right ones. Let's see, 81.
I know that's hard. You gotta absolutely, when you're collecting these, you gotta look at the back of the and see the logo to help you, because again, like we were saying earlier, some of the players are the exact same pose as the previous 1, 2, 3 years.
Well, that's what I was going to point out. There's Willie,
Hmm.
from
Same look.
84. Yeah, exact same photo. So almost like the way Topps does things. Sometimes they're going to just jam the same photo up, year after year. And so there's your 84 Cardinals, you know.
Different Tommy Her card. That was good. Saw
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, it always is amazing to me. Like, oh, and I forgot to point this. I don't know if this one is a little bit larger than you normally find. So
But it's the same pose, which cracks me up.
yeah. So, and the interesting thing is you have a former Cardinal on the reverse side, Mr. Steve
Yep.
Stapleton. Lefty, the golden arm, as they said, was in the Fleer set back in the day.
Yep. One thing I find puzzling about this, we're recognizing all of these players. Again, just always wish they would have taken the extra time to put the managers in there. I would have loved to seen a couple of Whitey Herzog inserts in this set. I think that would have made it pretty cool. Any idea in terms?
Don't worry. I'm gonna answer your prayers right here. There's Whitey
There you go.
right there in 1985, and you're gonna like this even better. You see Willie? Same picture,
Hmm.
3 years in a row. That's amazing. I can't believe they couldn't come up with another photograph for the great Willie McGee.
Right. Oh, Terry Pendleton making an
Yeah,
appearance down there.
yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Oh, is that Daryl Porter again? That's the same shot as like 1982. Yep.
Yes, it
Always
is.
makes. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't understand the rhyme or the reason on why they change him up, but yeah, thank you. I'm glad that Whitey's in that set.
Yeah. Jack Clark, Jose De Leon. So getting seeing the transition. Yeah, great photo of Whitey. I don't think I've seen that anywhere else other than this particular set. So kudos on that one, not
Yeah.
necessarily for the McGee photo. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the 86 up here because we get a couple more changes here, and no, unfortunately, no Whitey, but happily we do have a different Willie McGee photo for everybody.
Actually, those photos look different and finally of everybody, which is really nice. Ah, I love the John Tudor in there.
Yep.
Good shot of Ozzie Smith. Nice.
So there
Jack
they
Clark
are.
again.
How about Mike Heath?
No comment.
Well, hey, he's featured, so we're going to mention him. How about that?
Yeah, but I don't have to comment because I have things that will make people mad at me. So, um,
So some great
Mike,
sets from the World Series days back in the 80's, 82 and 85. Couple down years in between. You can see some of the trades that Whitey had made back in the day too, reflected in this particular set. So great colors, great photos on these little cards. And I wish, like you said, I wish they would have continued that team concept throughout because it was really a great idea back in the day.
yeah, and again, it just gave you another outlet, and especially as you said earlier, what I like about it is there's a lot of shots that are different than the boring top shots that seem to be every year. But then again, we just noticed that Willie was used 3 times in a
Yep.
row and Daryl Porter several times and on and on and on. But I like it. But so last question to you, because again, we purposely everybody did not pull these out of the sheets because they are flimsy. Is it? It's not really a stamp. It's called an insert, but you got to realize that this was something that was
It had to be
in.
hand cut.
Right. Thank you. That's what I
Yeah.
was. And so because
Almost like the 84 Nestle set. You had to actually hand cut it off the sheet. So yeah, that's the same concept.
yeah, so that's why normally we pull stuff out, but Andy and I are just like nervous as all get out to try to pull something out and
And
tear.
inevitably you'll tear one of these up or damage it, taking it back out of the plastic.
Right, right. So overall, a great run of these. So some years there's 9 players, some years there's 10, and then Andy just showed there might even be an 11 or 12 and a couple of those in the mid 80s. But great sets overall. Highly encourage you if you can find them. They're still out there on eBay and some of the other auctions. They are becoming more and more rare as the years go by. I mean, we're into 40 years old now
Yep.
on these particular inserts. So anyway, like them. And then the last thing that I will say, going all the way back to the original, is I love this particular shot of Bob Forsch. Just again, Bob seems to not get a lot of love for various reasons, and having him in that 82 set is pretty cool. So
Brian, I have to
pleased
encourage
by
you.
that.
Brian, I have to encourage you to get this 85 set too, so you can increase your Jack Clark presence in your collection.
Well, I'm only going to collect the certain things because I need more Mike Heath cards in my collection
Okay.
too. Yeah. So
So, 1980s. I got obviously you could go crazy with Van Halen references. So 82, since you mentioned 82 World Championship season, released a Diver Down. They had 84, obviously 1984. And then 85, the transition from David Lee Roth to Sammy Hagar, the Van Hagar era began with 5150. So there you go. There's a little Van Halen reference trivia, whatever you want to call it. But try to throw it in there whenever we can, or some kind of
all right,
pop culture.
I
Yes.
love the pop culture. We love the Van Halen stuff, so we'll never stop talking about that. So I'm going to put you on the spot. You're going to look at me like you should have talked about this before we started recording. What is going to 1984? What is your favorite I want to say obscure song, but a song that wasn't like Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher. What would you say is
I'd say probably either Drop Dead Legs or House of Pain, probably off of the 84.
yeah, I would agree. I also think that Top Jimmy needs to get a
But
little
yeah, I
there.
mean, honestly, if you listen to any deep tracks on, most albums, they're back in the day, they're usually pretty good. Obviously, there's some bands that just throw garbage on there, and then that happened in their case sometimes here and there. But the overall 84 is pretty solid throughout. And they had a couple other albums same way. 5150 pretty solid, throughout. Debatable on Diver Down for a lot of people because there's a number of covers on there, but they redid some cool kinks on there, and Roy Orbison with Pretty Woman, and of course my favorite off there is really the Full Bug. That's my favorite off of Diver Down.
Nice, 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 nice. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that in 1984, when we were playing baseball in the summer, that we always had Panama Jump going on in the background. Andy and I pitched. Andy was a much better pitcher than I was, but anyway, we both did it and had a lot of fun. And Panama was always my song that got me fired up and did whatever. So I just always will remember my first experience pitching against classmates and
Yep.
three straight outs in my very first appearance. So I loved it. So with that, hey, gotta let everybody know, we're on all sorts of social media channels, but we just recently joined Threads just to give folks another way to find us. We are starting to mess around a little bit with podcasts. Hopefully, into 2024, we'll get that figured out and be able to share that with everybody. But as Andy always likes to say, thanks for joining us. You can find us everywhere on the social media network. So thank you and happy holidays.
Yep. Thanks everybody, and again, happy holidays, and we'll see you next time.